Hi guys, welcome to our second video. In this one, let's talk about Mobx, which is a library for dealing with state management. Okay, state management is a way or a set of strategies to um, to make your app react accordingly to a state or a change of a state. Um, Based on many event sources. Okay, this is an example of state management, our set state that we discussed previously. And every time a user clicks the button, it increments the value. Okay, we have already seen that every time a user clicks or presses the button, increment counter callback is called. The increment counter calls set state, and set state updates the value to +1. However, set state every time is executed, the whole build function is called. To see this, let's print here. Build is running. So if I update this, so every time I click here, build is running, it's executed. So set state is not well performant for more complex screens or complex pages, okay? Because the whole widgets, all widgets are called, okay, or are rebuilt. So let's use the Mobx. Mobx library, you can use, first let's access the Mobx library here. Mobx. You can go to pub.dev/packages and search for Mobx. Mobx library is here. How does it work? Every time a user, let's say, clicks the button, the action is called. This action changes a variable that's an observable variable, and this observable variable notifies all listeners that it has been changed. Okay. So let's do this same application using the Mobx. Let's delete our increment counter from here. Let's take out this counter from here too, so we do not have any more both statement, neither the counter variable nor the increment counter. Okay, let's create a file called counter. You can call this as counter controller or counter store. Store is the concept of Mobx controller. Okay. I will use this shortcut Mobx counter controller. How does it work? If you want to use this shortcut, you can go here at extensions and search for Flutter Mobx, and you will have an extension for Mobx in Flutter. Okay, if you are using the VS Code. If you are not using VS Code, I don't know, you have to search for extensions in your preferable IDE, maybe Android Studios. Okay, let's back here. So if you take a look here, we have an arrow, and this arrow it happens because we do not have our code yet, but this code is a auto-generated code in a file called g.dot. Mobx creates for you if you also install. In addition, I forgot to mention, choose Mobx, you can import the inside the dependencies in your pub spec, Mobx, and the Flutter Mobx. Okay, Flutter Mobx. Which is the difference between both? MobX, we have just seen that it manages all the communication. Flutter MobX will give you Flutter MobX will give you, where is it? Flutter MobX will give you a widget called Observer, and this widget allows to rebuild only the component or only parts of your screen or parts of your page. So you do not need to run your build statement, your build function, the whole build function. Okay, the observer will just rebuild just that part of your code that needed to be updated accordingly. Okay, so Flutter MobX is also important. We use it here in the same um, way as MobX and Flutter MobX. Okay, we need to generate code because MobX generates some code for us. We use the Mobx code gen. Mobx code gen also is a library for generating Mobx code. I don't know why I put it here and it doesn't appear first. Okay, here. Mobx code gen will give us some annotations, okay? Observable, completed, and action. And based on these annotations, Mobx will generate some codes for you. Okay, let's go. To generate code here, we also need this package called BuildRunner. BuildRunner is it's not for Mobx. BuildRunner is for auto-generated code. Many packages use BuildRunner. Okay, we are also using BuildRunner in our code example. Okay, so recapitulating here, dependencies, we use the Flutter Mobx and Mobx, and for dev dependencies, we use BuildRunner and Mobx code gen to generate our Mobx code. Okay, we will save it here. Remember that every time you change or you put a new package here, you need to stop your application if it is running. You need to stop and to execute the Flutter run command again. Okay, I have already done it before, so let's keep it on. Okay, our code is not working because we do not have already generated it. We do not have generated our code yet. However, we have already deleted our counter and we have already deleted the callback function here. Let's recreate it here. Since our counter, every time it is updated to +1, we need a way to notify the listeners. So let's put the observable annotation in our int count value. Okay, let's initiate it as 1 or 0 or 1, no problem. 0. Let's put it as 0. Okay. So since let's come back here, Mobx. Since Mobx reacts by from a reaction or as reactions as the listeners, we need a way to update the value. So every time something fires an action, the action changes a variable that is an observable variable. Here we have an observable variable here. However, we need an action to do this. So let's call our action. Let's create an action. This action increments our variable counter to +1. Okay. This is an error function, and this is saying that Every time you execute it, okay? You can return it. We do not need a void. We do not need a init variable here. So we can also do this. Okay. So this is an action that will change this variable. We can do any other statement here. Other statements. But we do just need it, the counter plus plus, okay? Okay, our code is not working. It's not still working. Just a minute again. Let's first build our screen or page here. Do you remember that I mentioned the Mobx, the Flutter, Mobx. Flutter Mobx has a widget called observer. Okay, every time we need to update our variable accordingly, we need the observer. Let's import observer here. Okay, so I imported the observer here, Flutter Mobx, and our observer will be rebuilt when the variable changes, okay, when our counter changes. Every time a widget has a builder function and this function needs a widget as its return value, we need to return a widget here, okay? So this is a function that receives the context, okay? So our builder is a function that receives the build context as parameter, but we do not need it. We will not use it, so we can pass an underscore. That we will understand that we do not need it. Okay, since it is a builder, you always need to return a widget. Okay, so let's return the same text that we had previously. This is the text we had previously. So we are returning from this builder our text, and our text has our counter, needs to update our counters every time a user pushes the button. So where are our callback and our counter? They are here. Okay, so since it needs our auto-generated code, let's generate our code here. So before generating this code, you can anticipate it here. Counter controller. Let's take our counter controller to our home page state. Okay. Let's import it here. An instance of counter controller. Every class that extends to state has an init state callback. Okay, where init state can be used to initialize your variables and so many other variables here. Okay, init state is called just one time before build function. So before Flutter building or calling the build functions, Flutter will call the init state callback. Okay, so we override it because it belongs to the state class. So we have here our counter. Let's use our counter controller dot counter, and every time a user pushes the button, counter controller dot increment. Okay. However, we are still having a problem here. We need to generate a more complex and performant code by using the Mobx code gen. Let's create a new terminal here. You can run Flutter pub run build runner build. So how does it work? Pub run build runner will execute our build runner, and it will maps all code generation. So it will use the Mobx code gen here. Okay, so let's build it. You will see that we do not have any. We will not have the zero after generating this code. Let's wait a while. Let's wait a little more, and while it is being generated, we need to wait a little. So instead of calling the build function, you will see that only the observer is called. Okay, it's taking more than usual. Flutter pub run build. It's taking more than usual, more time than usual. Let's go, buddy. This is for today. Okay, it's generating. You will see that the zero will disappear when it is completed. Every time the user pushes this button, the increment callback is called and will increment the variable here. And since it is unobservable, the observer widget captures this change and updated the value accordingly. Okay. It is generating our code. Let's restart our application. It is still running. It is taking longer than usual. 2 from 3. Okay, succeeded, and you can observe that our error disappeared. Okay, so let's restart our application. Zero again. So when I push the button, the value is incremented. So every time I push the button, increment is called. Oh, if you try to access the increment, take a look at the file it has opened. Controller.g.dart. This is the file that it generated. Has just generated here. So you can observe that it is more complex. So it can generate for you. You do not need to change it. Every time you need to change something, you change it here and rebuild your code, okay? We will see later how to rebuild your code automatically every time we change it, instead of calling this whole command every time you change, okay? So every time I change something here, you need to run this command. However, we have another command that will generate your code automatically every time you change it. This code here, okay? So we'll close it. So every time I push the button, increment is called, increment changes to 1, and this counter is updated, and the observer as one of the reactor or one of the listener, okay, is called. Here, observer, this widget is one of the listeners, one of this part of the data flow, okay? it reacts based on the change of the counter variable. It's important to note that I didn't need to say which file counter is. So every time observer is executed, it monitors which variable can change. Okay, um, and you can also see that every time I click the button, every time I click, you are you can see that build is running is not being um, shown. Okay, why? Because this whole widget is called only one. Okay, the update that your page needs to do is only this number, only this part. Okay, so it's more performant. Okay guys, this is our third video, and the next one we will see other types of reactions that you can see or you can use to have an updated variable, okay, observable variable. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.